Hi, this is Jason Nickleby, Coordinator of Officials with the Minnesota State High School League, and this is the NFHS Football Rules Study Training Tape number 3. We're going to take a look at Rules 5 and 6 this week. Again, renewing our focus and efforts as it relates to getting our nose in the NFHS rulebook. Again, many differences between the NFHS and the NCAA and the NFL. And we want to make sure that we have a proper focus and concentration on what NFHS rules are and how they apply. Remember some of the tips that we're looking at. Take a look at the casebook. Take a look at plays that occur on Saturday and Sunday and how they might apply in your Friday night games. And hopefully these presentations are helpful for you as you take a look at the rulebook and casebook and how they apply to situations that happen in your game. As we mentioned, we're going to take a look at Rule 5 and 6 for this week. Rule 5 and 6 are covering series and how we're going to award a new series and what happens in those situations. Down and possession after penalties, so what are we going to do with the down and possession after penalties occur. Line to gain, measurements, and then free kicks and scrimmage kicks and all of the factors that go into officiating those plays. And then finally, we'll take a look at touchback and fair catch provisions. Rule 5 looks at series of downs, number of down, and team possession after penalty. Quite a mouthful, but nonetheless still an important rule. And what we're going to do with the football after penalties, what we're going to do with the down, are we going to award a new series, those kind of factors. So important to get in that part of the rule book. This rule probably has had the fewest changes over the years. Pretty standard high school football when you're taking a look at this rule. Not much has changed. The casebook covers these plays and how we would handle missing a down or allowing too many downs. But similar to inadvertent whistles, let's not compound that issue by mishandling the administration of penalties, the awarding of a new series, and so on. Series of downs, again, who, what, where, and when. Who's going to get a new series of downs? What down is it going to be? Where is that new series going to begin? And when would we award a new series or not? So various factors that go into that, and all of them important to know. So get your nose into that part of the rule book and visualize different scenarios that would allow you to analyze a new series and what we would do with the ball in those situations. And then down in possession after penalty, what's the next down? That's probably the most important question you're going to ask yourself after you enforce a penalty. Is it an automatic first down? Do we repeat the down? Are we going to have a first down because we're going to award a new series even though there was a penalty? Those kind of questions have to come up when you are discussing penalty enforcement, and ultimately what down is it going to be after completion of that penalty. So obviously we can screw up our game pretty fast by not being aware of those factors. And then the line to gain, second most important line after the goal line. We need to know it. We need to know it ahead of time. And then we need to know how it's established and what yardage is needed to attain that line to gain. So obviously a big deal in the game of football, and a rule that we would want to know pretty thoroughly. So make sure we get into Rule 5, series of downs, number of down, and then team possession after penalty. Rule 6 takes a look at kicking the ball and fair catch. So all things related to the kicking game, pretty important aspect of the game, and unfortunately it's also one of the most difficult to officiate judgment-wise, and to compound all of that, there's also very difficult rule situations that can come up with the kicking game. And if you're going to run into a rules-related issue during a game, it will most likely occur on a kicking play. I know that most of the game we want the ball to come to us. We want to make the big decision, but on kicking games, most of the time we're perfectly fine with the ball going away from us, just because we know how much screwy stuff can happen on kicks. So we want to spend a lot of time reviewing this rule and the casebook plays, just because of all the stuff that can happen once the ball is away, and then all of the rules related situations and plays that could affect each situation that might occur in a game. First part, kickoffs and other free kicks. What are your limitations and requirements that are related to kickoff and free kicks? So, who can touch it? Where does it take place from? What limitations do they have to blocking, touching the ball, kicks crossing the goal line plane? What are we doing with that? So all pretty important aspects to know. And then same thing with scrimmage kicks. What limitations do we have? What requirements? Scrimmage kick formation, numbering exceptions, muffed kicks, advancement of a muff or not, recovery and advancement, all very important aspects to know. So make sure we get our nose in the book on that aspect. And then finally, what is a touchback? The characteristics of that and what would constitute one, and then a fair catch, and then most specifically, kick catching interference and what constitutes that foul. Okay, we're going to take a look at some play situations from both Rule 5 and Rule 6. Again, not necessarily the most important plays, but just some interesting plays from these rules, and again, important to get in the case book, relate it back to the rule book, and then take a look at plays on Saturday and Sunday and how those might fit into the high school rule book and what we would do with those plays. So first play, 5.1.2 situation, 3rd and 10 at the B40. A17 gains 10 yards and is down at the B29. A77 taunts B55 during the run. In this play, we have live ball action that gave Team A new series. The line to gain shall be established after Team A is penalized for A77's unsportsmanlike conduct foul. It shall be 1st and 10 for Team A at the B44. So, the most common mistake that happens with this kind of foul, this kind of play, is that we try to enforce it as a live ball foul, and this foul is always enforced from the succeeding spot in high school football. So we want to make sure that we don't make that mistake. That's really a killer mistake to make with 2 minutes to go in the 4th quarter, where we wipe out a touchdown, when we should be giving them the touchdown and enforcing it from the succeeding spot. So important part of the rule book to know. What are we doing with enforcement? What are we doing with the subsequent down and distance? So important rule to know. Situation 5.1.3, K17's field goal attempt is partially blocked behind the neutral zone, but deflects beyond the neutral zone and is then muffed by R82. The muffed ball is recovered in situation A behind, or in B beyond the neutral zone by K25. In this situation, in both A and B, it will be a first down for Team K. In situation A, K25 could have advanced after recovering, and the rule reference for that is 513F. This is an important distinction between high school and college. In college, we would be killing this play in situation A, and in situation A in high school, they can continue to advance. So, important distinction to know what they can and can't do after a ball is touched, and where it's touched and by whom. So we want to make sure we have all of those aspects down. 5-2-5 situation, K17 punts the ball to R88. R88 catches the punt on his own 10-yard line and begins to advance. During the run, K55 grabs R88's face mask at the R20. R88 continues to advance, but is hit and fumbles the ball at the K10. K47 recovers the fumble at the K5. Following the play, K79 commits a dead ball foul. If R accepts the penalty for the face mask foul, it will be enforced from the end of R88's run, which is the spot of the fumble, thus making it first and goal for R at the K5. The dead ball foul would be administered from that point, making it first and goal for Team R at the K2.5. And the rule references are 521 and 525E. This play, pretty similar to the play from the training tape. Remember, we're enforcing from the spot of the fumble because that is the related run to this foul, and that's where we should be accepting it from. In a case where the fumble is, say, at the K35 and Team R advances all the way to, say, the 4-yard line, they would decline the face mask foul because it can only be enforced from the spot of the fumble, and half the distance or a full 15 would not be as beneficial as the result of the play. So they would decline that and then accept the dead ball foul. So don't forget that the offended team always has the choice to decline and take the result of the play if that's more beneficial. So don't get in too much of a hurry to accept a penalty when it may be more advantageous for the team to decline the live ball penalty and then accept the dead ball, thus making it first and goal for R at the K2.5 in this case. 6-1-6 situation, kickoff by K12 from the K40 is muffed by R25 near the R20. The muff is caught by K22 at the R18 and he advances into R's end zone. In this play, it will be K's ball, first and 10 at the R18. K22 may catch or recover the muffed kick but may not advance. The ball is dead when K gains possession. The covering officials should sound a whistle to stop play immediately when the ball becomes dead. So this is an important distinction for kicks. Can't advance on the muff. It has to be possessed and fumbled before K can pick it up and advance the ball. So important to kill this one because if we let it play out and we have an injury on a play that we should have killed sooner, that will be a problem. So just make sure we understand muff and possession and when Team K can advance on those kinds of plays. 6-1-9 situation, R17 is running near a sideline as he attempts to catch a free kick in flight. In situation A, R17 has both feet in bounds, and in B, 1 foot on the sideline when he reaches through the plane of the sideline. The ball bounces off his hands and lands out of bounds. In situation A, the ball is not yet out of bounds until it hits the ground there. Since R17 touched it, he caused it to go out of bounds and R will have the ball at the inbound spot. In B, since R17 is out of bounds when the ball is touched, the kicker has caused the ball to be out of bounds. So R can be out of bounds. If they touch the ball at the time they are out of bounds, it's going to be a free kick infraction on the kicking team. So important distinction to know who caused the ball to go out of bounds. For example, if we had an onside kick and K touches it 3 or 4 times and goes out of bounds, we still are going to have a free kick out of bounds in that situation since it was untouched by Team R prior to going out of bounds. So important to understand the definition of what's out of bounds and who causes it to go out of bounds and then what we're going to do with it if that is the case. 6-2-5 situation with 4th and 5 from the K30, K9 punts the ball where it is touched by K88, which is first touching at the R30. The ball continues rolling and is picked up by R35 at the R25. R35 is subsequently hit and fumbles at the R28. The loose ball is recovered by K88 on the ground at the R26. During the kick, R55 is flagged for holding. If K accepts R's foul for holding, then it is enforced from the previous spot since post-scrimmage kick cannot apply as Team K is next to put the ball in play as a result of the recovered fumble. Also, if K accepts the foul, the awarded spot for first touching is not applied. If K declines the holding foul, R will take the ball at the spot of first touching. And we have 212-1, 212-2, and 216-2H rather. So a couple of things to keep in mind here on when PSK can be applied, when the first touching spot should be used. And also, don't get into the habit of automatically accepting a foul when maybe first touching would be preferred. Maybe they want to let them have it at first touching. Let's say it's 4th down and 17, and they don't really want to re-kick, but they're okay with the first touching spot since it's at the 5-yard line, for example. So don't go too quick on accepting this. Make sure you go through all the options. Result of the play is always an option, but they're probably not going to take that since K ends up with it. But don't forget result of the play and then all options, first touching, previous spot, PSK, whatever applies. So be sure we have all those options on the table in these kinds of plays. Okay, there's Rule 5 and Rule 6. Lots of situations to go over. Again, let's get back into definitions. That's the key. That's the basics that allows us to officiate these plays properly and force properly. We don't want to get caught off guard. Be ready for anything goofy to happen. That will happen on kick plays, change of possession, and so on. We want to make sure that we have all of those bases covered, and we can do that by getting our nose back in the definitions and then applying them in Rule 5 and Rule 6. And play what if. Again, visualize plays, come up with scenarios and what you would do with them. And if you're not sure, check with your buddies, check with the rule book, and get those play situations out there so that you're ready for them when they happen in your games. So with that, that's Rule 5 and 6. We'll take a look at Rule 7 and 8 next week. Have a great week of games.